Chronicles TV on air. We are now live in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to another episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. In the previous episode, we did beginning of the trial again, assuming, and now the jury is gonna go for a guilty verdict. But we're likely to do the summation examination. So, if you had today's episode, make sure that like button supports the push the channel.
Guilty.
Why is a kid here? I'm gonna put the magician and the scientific guy against each other. I'm just saying if they contradict each other. So, you know what to do. Judge? So as indicated by the foreman, the jury has reached a consensus. I knew that was going to happen. We shall get through this, Mr. Naruhodo, as we always do. And uncover some new truths along the way, I'm quite sure. Yes, I agree. I'm going to have to appeal the jurors as usual and see if I can persuade them to change their minds. The friends will now embark on summation examination. Are you and your fellows ready to proceed? In that case, I now state too clearly for the present to hear. Juror number 1 always has to be like some important guy, top hat. Then number 2 is a female, and then everyone so on and so forth. Why do we start off with number 6? I've known the woman for years. She'd never been accomplished to anything. It's utter nonsense to think those two would have ever be convening with one another. Oh dear, this is most troubling. But surely the waxwork the man stole has nothing to do with the coroner, is it? I have my own problems with members of the police. I do not trust them much. Ooh, I know who to pit against. I've seen so rigorous proof that this waxwork was ever inside the birdcage. It's conjecture. Why is a kid here? Somewhat unsurprisingly, it seems the introduction of this waxwork model to the proceedings has polarized opinion. Given the face is obscured and its build in no way resembles that of the victim. I can only applaud my learned friend's temerity, suggests as if Mr. Osborne's body double. Yes, the applause is deafening. And yes, I know it's extremely extraordinary, but that's the point. That's why I have a strong feeling it's actually a greater clue than anyone else yet realizes. What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo? I can't explain why at the moment, but I feel as though there's a specific reason why it was used. Why it had to be used this model. Really? A reason why? Nothing else would do, you mean? Yes, and I'm convinced. Something far more significant than whether or not the model looked like the victim. Well, if that's the case, we must prevent the trial from ending prematurely at all costs. Yes, agreed. I have to find a way out of this. If you are ready, counsel, you may proceed with the summation examination. Yes, my lord. I've known that woman for years. Hold it! The order of things seem to have changed around here for some reason. I'm a copper, lad. It's copper's discretion to bend the rules sometimes when it needs must. What's wrong with that? Where do I start? I've been working at the yard for over 40-odd years. That's even more than I thought. We've only had a metropolitan police service in town for 70 years, you know? Of course, this times has changed. The public didn't trust coppers back when I started. It was rough. We had to fight crime, and we had to fight to win the public's trust as well, and we did. Forensic science was in its infancy too, even more than it is now, and she spearheaded the revolution. Dr. Scythe, you mean? That's right. About 10 years ago now it was, when I was still the youngest boy on the beat. That's when she started making a name for herself as a top-class coroner. And now look at her, head of the forensic investigation team, and a woman no less. Well, you won't hear me complain. It was what I dreamt all back then, I tell you. Could you tell me without holding that gun in the air? We were all out to uphold justice, lad. Full of them. We were full of them. Yeah, it's coming across loud and clear. It's not enough to think who those two would be convening with one another. But we're only just trying to understand this case. What are you reading there, sir? The man behind those bars on Solar Pond Street was caught in 2 days flat. That's real policing for you. That's really not relevant to the case, is it? You're wrong there. Because it was Dr. Scythe in charge of examining the bodies, and it was evidence arising from her work that led to the arrest of the scoundrel responsible. Oh? That's right. Oh, the woman is the forefront of this country's fight against crime. I believe the idea that somehow involved in this murky business is total trash. I thought it was up to me to press the jurors, not the other way around. Oh dear, this is most troubling, but surely the Waxford man in store has nothing to do with the coroner, is it? Why would you assume that? Well, quite simply because that unselling swindler has no relationship with the woman, does he? True, as it stands, we don't know any connection. Oh gosh, but it would be delightfully romantic if they were somehow to have a mutual interest in the waxwork. Romantic? A woman of society such as myself views everything in terms of relationships, you know? Well, you learn something new every day, even if you don't want to. One might wonder about a possible relationship between the defendant and this coroner woman. Or perhaps between the defendant and the handsome... Oh no, we're not going there. This woman may be more astute than I have been giving her credit for. If that woman stands, then perhaps demonstrating some connection between the Waxford and Dr. Scythe would be enough. Yes, I agree. As soon as we have a whiff on the connection, she'll be the first to know. Hold it! What sort of problems? Just say we have a run into each other on numerous occasions while I have been performing the street. Right, I see. Obviously, artists such as myself cannot appear on stage as we work in close proximity to our audiences. So we perform our great magic and parts on street, corners, and the like. And the police use any excuse to make... I knew it was gonna be this guy. Pursue! Excuse me! Do you have something to say in response to that, Mr. Ottermole? Who you're calling a mass murderer? Sorry, my mistake. I got confused because I heard you look like him. I do not look like the man. You want to be locked up, Sonny? Thanks, Mr. Sholmes. Perhaps we could move on. I was really wondering if you had something you wanted to add in response to what juror number 3 just said. Clearly you do. Back in my day, back in the good old days, it wasn't like this. What was it like, sir? We worked our fingers to the bone to earn the public's trust, we did. By Jove, we earned it. People respected us back then. Respected you? Huh. No one could have called a coroner into question in them days. A coroner's report was the hallmark of an investigation done right. Especially when Dr. Courtney Stevens put her name to it. Who? She was the best of the best, and the apple of the fourth's eye. Hold on a minute. What are you talking about? Who's Courtney Stevens? Oh, sorry. Got carried away there. Stevens is Dr. Scythe's maiden name. Maiden name? So that was before she was married? Of course, yes. Silly me. It's Scythe now, isn't it? Stevens. I'm sure I've seen that name somewhere recently. Anyway, the point is, those were the great days, policing like now. Sorry to interrupt, sir. But do you think you can change your statement to include that name? Well, yes. I don't see why not. Stevens? Can I go? Thank you for the people option. Who's Stevens? There's no one in my freaking thing that's called Stevens. Who was called Stevens? Adi Osman. Yeah, that's what's getting me thinking. It's like, who the heck is Steve? Oh, that one right there. Courtney Stevens, right there. Confirmed. Okay, that's the Steven. That's the only thing that says Stevers. Adi Osman, Ednock Drebber. Osman Drebber. Oh dear. So she said something about a relationship, right? I'm gonna put her and the old man to see if we gotta get any viable conclusion. This and her.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious, those statements you refer. So, juror number 2. Gosh, me? What can I do for you? I presume that you heard what juror number 6 said in this statement. It's brought to light the maiden name of the coroner, Dr. Scythe, which in turn has revealed a connection that wasn't apparent before. Well, naturally, as a woman of society, I find such connections and relationships irresistible. But oh golly, I'm afraid I fail to see what you mean. Dr. Scythe's maiden name is Stevens, and through that name, the coroner is very definitely linked to the waxwork of the killer. The defense has evidence to prove it. The autopsy report? My goodness, evidence you say? How utterly enthralling. Counsel, the court cannot overlook the last remark. I very much hope there is a substance to your claim. Of course, my lord. I would ask the court to look at this. Evidence that clearly links Dr. Scythe to the mass murderer known as the Professor.
Take that!
I have here a certain autopsy report from 10 years ago. 10 years ago? Autopsy report? What relevance does that have? It is, of course, from the autopsy of the person portrayed in the waxwork, the killer known as the Professor. The Professor? But the man was capital offender, so... That's right. This is a certification of death that was drawn up after the victim's convict's execution. So let me get this straight. She's the one that foresee it, but somehow the guy called the Professor that was supposed to be hanged is somehow alive, and the guy that's hanged, Professor, is now Osman something. The identity of the killer was never made public, so the report gives few details. But what's important is the name of the coroner who wrote it. Courtney Stevens. Oh my, Courtney Stevens? Strike a light! It appears that the Professor's autopsy was conducted by Dr. Scythe 10 years ago. And a few days ago, Mr. Drebber was deliberately stole the waxwork of the Professor from Madame Tuspel's. A waxwork that doesn't, in fact, resemble the victim, Mr. Osmond, at all. And do you suppose there's some unsavory relationship between those events? Absolutely. I'm sure of it. There's no doubt in my mind that the Professor case is at the heart of a link that we have yet to uncover. Between Dr. Courtney Scythe and Mr. Ednock Drebber. Hidden links, mysterious connections, secret relationships. This is all most extraordinary. We're surely obliged now to explore the further. Yeah! I think it's just one. Quite right. We can't let this trial come to an end now. Not while there's a cloud of suspicion hanging over the yard's best coroner. I wasn't like this in my day, but we're still here to uphold justice in the end. Yeah! Alrighty then. I've had my own problems with the members of police.
Hold it!
But you claim the whole instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a trick. That I did, but there's more than one way to pull a rabbit out of the hat, isn't there? Sorry? I grant you, given that this cage appeared from amidst an explosion, there had been no need to use a real person. But if a waxer had been used, the culprit could at least have the decency to make it look like the victim. I'm not sure exactly how much criminals are governed by decency. The point is, if you're going to make a claim about that waxer being inside the birdcage, you need to give us some evidence. Without that, it's just not science. I suppose we should expect nothing less than a logical argument from a fellow of royal society. But that perhaps means his mind could be changed if we manage to present suitable evidence. Evidence that the Professor Waxford was inside that birdcage. Can I produce that or not? What's our argument? Actually, I have something I'd like you to see, sir. Oh, I must warn you that I firmly believe it's only wise to trust men in white coats. So given your jet black outfit, I don't mind admitting we don't have jet black, we're in blue. So you don't trust anyone in black. Looking in the mirror must be very trying. Racist. I do have some evidence that proves that waxwork was inside the birdcage, namely...
Take that!
What's that? A piece of glass? Though it's unusually thick for glass. Yes, it's a piece of broken glass that we found inside the jacket on the waxwork. As you say, it's not ordinary glass though. It's very thick and it's clearly made for extra strength. Much like the special glass that was developed for the construction of the Crystal Tower. Crystal? Holy smoke! Exactly. The centerpiece of the great exhibition where the very incident we're talking about took place. On the day in question, the birdcage fell above and smashed through a window of that special glass. From whence this small piece originated, is that it? Precisely. So, what do you say? Now that we have clear evidence, support of the assertion has been placed before you. Well, as I said, I would trust men in white coats as a rule. However, when the reasoning is sound, it's fair to say color shouldn't come into it. Racist! In light of what you showed me here, yes, I'm obliged to change my position on the matter. In that case, juror number 4, you will amend your statement now, please. The presence of the piece of glass leaves me in little doubt that the waxwork was indeed inside that birdcage. Without an answer to the thing, 2 men would be convening with one and none. Accusing someone without evidence. Alright, we're just gonna assume. We're gonna press. We're gonna put these 2 together. If anything. Let's see if we can go straight into it without having to do the thing.
Objection!
There you go. These 2 statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious, 2 who's? If you could put down your coin for a moment, juror number 5. Why do we have a girl here? You mean me? You pointed out that it's wrong to make an accusation without evidence. But the accusation that the waxwork model was inside the second birdcage on the day in question is not without supporting evidence, as the defense demonstrated to jurors sitting beside you. Oh, is that right? Would it be fair to say you didn't follow the argument? I don't understand much besides Colonel Cobb, to be honest. Who bred our kid here? Of course you don't. If I could interject here. Please do, sir. Now that the assertion of yours about the waxwork has been backed up by some solid evidence, it could be wrong of me as a man of science not to pursue the matter further. Yeah! Ah, well, me too then. Sorry? If this brainy gentleman says he's right, then he must be. See, I wouldn't be dreaming of going against Colonel Cobb or anyone who's... Who brought a kid here anyways? Child labor laws. Oh wait, child labor laws wasn't a thing until some certain time, right? Success, if you can call it that. Oh, that was really short. Thank you, counsel, that will do. As a result of the summation examination, the jury's overall learning has changed. 2 jurors now call guilty against 4 who call not guilty. Accordingly, the court has failed to reach a consensus at the time. We did it! Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. Another wonderful victory. A waxwork of the despicable professor. Used as a body double for the victim in this quite extraordinary case. I must say it's extremely hard to believe the assertion could possibly be true. However, it would appear that it does at least warrant further investigation. That the waxwork of Professor links to Mr. Drebber and Dr. Scythe. And I'm convinced that there's a special significance to that link. I don't know what you're hoping to prove, lad. I really don't. The truth, sir, by using evidence and testimony. If the court is to delve deeper into the alleged involvement of the waxwork in this case. Then the prosecution calls for the owner of the model to be summoned as a witness. The owner? Man, I've been wanting her to come out in this sense for a while now. I really thought that Lord Von Sachs would object to this whole line of inquiry. Very well, I concur. Make arrangements for Madame Tussauds to appear as a witness, with immediate effect. Listen carefully, my learned friend. Oh, yes? You should know that you are on the brink of opening Pandora's box. The court shall now adjourn for 45 minutes. During that time, the prosecution will summon the new witness and prepare her for the stand. Madame Tussauds, yes. I shall see it at once, my lord. With that, we'll end the episode right here, ladies and gentlemen. Like, comment, subscribe. Chronicles XTV, and I'm signing out.